Hello, kamusta? In this video, we're going to talk about our third conic, which is the hyperbola. And our goal is to identify the hyperbola and its properties, determine an equation of the hyperbola when its properties are given. So let us define first what a hyperbola is. So pag sinabing hyperbola, that is the set of all points in a plane where the absolute value of the difference of whose distances from two fixed points F1 and F2 is constant. So F1 and F2, ang tawag doon are the foci. So ano ibig sabihin na absolute value of the difference of whose distances from two fixed points, etc., is constant? So ang ibig sabihin niya, let's say you have a point on the hyperbola na itago natin sa pangalang P, tapos kinuha mo yung PF1 tsaka PF2, tapos sinubtract mo and get the absolute value. So, itago natin sa pangalang K yon. So, ibig sabihin nung constant daw, yung difference na to is that kapag kumuha ka pa ng other point na itago natin sa pangalang, let's say Q, kahit sinong point sa hyperbola mo. So, yung QF1 minus QF2 absolute value, K pa rin ang value nun. So, yung difference naman ito. Okay, yun yung ibig sabihin ng definition. And if you collect all the points, mag-generate mo itong blue. Okay, yung hina-highlight ko ng red. So, yan yung hyperbola. Parang Coca-Cola bottle siya. And then, so we have the focus, F1 and F2, nakaproduce ka ng ganyang hyperbola. Okay. So, all the points in here are the points on the hyperbola. So, if you collect all these points, all the points satisfying this property, you get this blue. Okay, and gusto ko lang i-observe ninyo, you have this F1 and F2 na naka-align sila horizontally at nakaproduce ka ng hyperbola na pa-horizontal. So, ibig sabihin, itong foci mo, it dictates the orientation of your hyperbola. So, kung yung foci mo, something pa-vertical, ganyan, yung hyperbola mo, magiging ganyan siya. Kung patabingi yung foci mo, let's say these are your two foci, let's say this is F1, F2, patagilid din yung magiging hyperbola mo. So, important yung foci. Kasi from the foci, malalaman mo yung orientation. And yung midpoint ng foci, yun yung tinatawag nating center. At itong kanto-kanto na ito, we call it the vertices. So, V1 and V2, yung vertices natin. At yung transverse axis is the line segment pag pinag-connect mo yung V1 and V2. So, line segment V1, V2. So, pwede nyo isipin na yung vertices are the endpoints of the transverse axis. At ito, important na bagay, the center, foci, and the vertices are always co-linear. At we actually have two forms for the hyperbola. Dalawa lang i-aaralin natin. Parabola na pa-horizontal or with a horizontal transverse axis. Pa-vertical with a vertical transverse axis. So, ito yung two equations natin. So, HK is the center. So, ang itsura is x minus h square over a square minus y minus k square over b square equal to 1 and yung isa naman, pag pa-vertical, y minus k square over a square minus x minus h square over b square equal to 1. Meron silang subtle difference. Yung subtle difference, titignan mo kung nakanino yung parang positive. Kasi may negative dito, may positive. Dito naman, negative, positive. Kung nakanino yung positive, dun mo malalaman yung orientation. In this case, yung positive mo, na kay x siya, horizontal hyperbola. Yung positive mo na kay y, vertical hyperbola. So, ganun ko siya tinatandaan. The center is HK. At etong mga distansyang ito, importante, itong nakasulat sa gilid. So, yung A, that is the distance from center to one vertex. So, center to one vertex, ito yon, that is A. Or pwede ring ito. Kung vertical yung hyperbola mo, this is A, this is A. And yung B mo, the distance from the center to one endpoint of the conjugate axis. Ano ba yung conjugate axis? That is the line segment perpendicular to your transverse axis passing through the center. Na ang length niya ay 2B. So, etong B1, B2, endpoints of the conjugate axis. So, ito yung conjugate axis mo, B1, B2. Dito naman, ang conjugate axis mo, B1, B2. So, sabi sa definition dito sa gilid, ito yung mga B natin. That is B, that is B. At yung ABC na yan, yung C pa pala, that is the distance from center to focus. Center to focus. So, ayan yung C. This is C. C, C. At related iyang ABC na yan. C square is equal to A square plus B square. So, pinakamahaba yung C. So, parang ganito siya pag i-graph mo. Alamin mo muna yung center. Tapos, kung vertical or horizontal hyperbola pa, let's say horizontal hyperbola. So, move ka A units to the left and right kung horizontal hyperbola. Tapos, B units from the center, vertically, upward and downward. Tapos, makabuo ka ng parang box. And, pag kinonect mo yung opposite corners ng box, yan na yung tinatawag nating asymptote. So, mamaya na equation ng asymptote. So, kung horizontal yung hyperbola mo, ganyan siya. So, parang guide mo yung asymptotes. So, in this case, ang asymptotes mo are ito. Guide mo sila sa pagdodrawing. And we use this formula to compute for the asymptote. If you have a horizontal hyperbola, you use this. If you have a vertical hyperbola, you use this. Although, hindi ko masyadong ginagamit tong dalawang to kasi what I do is, kapag binigyan ako ng hyperbola na nakaganitong form, etong 1, ginagawa kong 0, tapos sinusolve ko si y, tapos yun na yung equation ng asymptote. So, for example, for this one, pinakompute nyo sa akin yung mnemonic lang naman to ha. Pinakompute nyo sa akin yung asymptote. Ang gagawin ko, isi-zero ko tong kabila. Tapos, isosolve ko yung y. So, x minus h square over a square is equal to y minus k square over b square. Tapos, take the square root of both sides. Tapos, maglagay ng plus minus sa isang side. And then, kapag minultiply ko both sides by b, we will get y minus k equal to plus minus b over a x minus h, which is ito. At ganun din, kapag ziniro mo ito, solve for y or y minus k, you will get this. So, let's do an example. Sketch this graph and identify its vertices and the foci. So, kailangan ng form, naka-1 yung kabila. So, x minus 0 square minus y minus 0 square, divide both sides by 4. Ganyan ang lalabas. So, nakanino yung positive? Nandito sa x. So, a square is 4, b square is 4. So, a is 2, b is 2. And from the equation, this is a horizontal hyperbola. And the center is 0, 0. So, compute natin yung c square para makompute yung c. So, this is 8 kasi a square is 4, b square is 4. So, c is square root of 8. Sketch natin ha. So, alamin muna ang center. Center ay 0, 0. Tapos, ang a mo is 2. Yung b mo is 2 rin. So, we have this imaginary box. Tapos, pag kinonect mo yung opposite corners ng box, you will get the asymptote. Tapos, yan yung guide mo sa pag-graph. At yung graph ko ng blue, yun na yung graph ng hyperbola. So, ano yung vertices? Ito yun, no? Negative 2, 0, 2, 0. So, nasan yung foci? Yung foci collinear dito. So, somewhere nandito. So, ilang units away from the center? Square root of 8. Gano'ng kalaki ba ang square root of 8? That is 2 point something. So, baka nandito. Square root of 8, 0. Isa naman. Negative square root of 8, 0. So, yung foci, negative square root of 8, 0. Square root of 8, 0. So, yan yung easy example. Okay, so solve naman tayo ng binigyan tayo ng property tapos so solve natin yung equation. Hanapin natin yung equation ng hyperbola. Find an equation of the hyperbola and the equations of its asymptotes if the hyperbola has the center. Ito yung dalawang foci. Ito yung dalawang vertices. Kailangan malaman mo na yung orientation para alam mo agad yung equation. So, dinodrawing ko yan. I mean yung points lang as a guide. So, 1, negative 3, that is the center. Ang foci, 1, negative 5. That is F1. Tapos F2, 1, negative 1. Tapos ang vertices mo, 1, negative 4. Tsaka 1, negative 2. Vertical. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung transverse axis mo. So, ang itsura ng hyperbola mo is x vertical, diba? So, y minus k square over a square minus x minus h square over b square equal to 1. And then, fill in the ano na lang yan, the a, b, h, k. H, k, pinamigay. Kasi ang hk ay 1, negative 3. Mga AB na lang yung mga kulang dyan. So, ang A, center to vertex. So, center to one vertex, that is 1. So, ang A mo is 1. Tapos, ang meron ka, center to one focus, which is 2 units. Diba letter C yun? Kapag center to focus. So, kulang na lang ng B. So, kasi meron ka na H, you have HK, A. Makukuha mo A square from A. So, yung B na lang. Makukuha natin yun doon sa nilista nating formula na C square equal to A square plus B square. So, plug in natin ito dito nung lalabas. 4 is 1 plus B square. So, B square is 3. Hindi ko nakukunin na square root kasi ang kailangan naman natin B square. Substitute dito na nung lalabas. Y minus K square minus x minus h square over, ang a square natin is 1, ang b square natin ay 3. So, yan yung equation ng hyperbola. So, burahin ko lang itong graph natin dahil may isa pa siyang hinihingi. Ano isa niya pang hinihingi? Maliban sa equation ng hyperbola, equation ng asymptotes daw. So, usog ko lang ito. So, how do you compute for the equation of the asymptotes? Etong nasa kabila, easy zero natin yan. And solve for y. Zero na yun, no? Okay. So, gagawing zero to. So, y plus 3 square equal to x minus 1 square over 3. Get the square root of both sides at maglagay ng plus minus. So, yan na yung equation ng asymptotes. So, lines lang. So, check natin yung answers natin using a graphing utility. Dahil favorite ko yon. So, ang sagot natin ay... So, kailangan ko ng space. So, y plus 3 square divided by 1 minus x minus 1 square divided by 3 equal to 1. So, we have this vertical hyperbola. Ano yung mga asymptotes? Y plus 3 equal to x minus 1 divided by square root of 3. Mukhang ang ganda, Yung isa naman, y plus 3 equal to negative x minus 1 over square root of 3. Diba sabi ko parang guide ninyo yung line? So, ayan siya. Ano yung center? 1, negative 3. Yung foci, 1, negative 5. At saka, 1, negative 1. Tapos ang vertex mo, 1, negative 4. Tsaka 1, negative 2. Yan. So, tama yung sagot natin. So, nagtutugma naman siya. So, let us find an equation of a hyperbola with this foci and with these vertices. So, kailangan malaman muna yung orientation ng hyperbola. Kung horizontal ba yan or vertical. So, drawing natin yung mga points lang just to give us a picture. So, these are your foci. Negative 1, 1. Negative 1, 1. Tama. Negative 1, 1. So, ito isang focus. Yung isa naman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So, ibig sabihin, yung vertex mo somewhere andito, yung center mo somewhere andyan. So, you have a horizontal hyperbola. So, x minus h square over a square minus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. Yan yung equation ng horizontal hyperbola. Okay, so h, k, a, and b na lang ang kailangan. So, ano yung hk? That is the midpoint of nung foci o kaya ng vertices natin. So, ano yung midpoint na lang ng f1, f2? Is, anong sabi ng previous lesson natin? Average nito, which is 3 over 2. Average nito, which is 1. So, ito na yung HK natin. At ano yung center to one vertex? Anong distansya nun? That is yung A. So, ang A natin, gano'ng kahaba, gano'ng kalayo ito dito. Same ng y coordinates, so 3/2. Minus nyo lang. 3/2 minus 0, yun yung distance. Si B, parang wala tayong info, pero meron tayong info about C. Ang C natin, distance from center to 1 focus. Ang center is 3/2, 1. Sama si 3/2, 1. So, that is the center. So, kunin natin distansya nito. So, anong distansya nitong dalawang to? So, 1, 2. So, you have 2.5 units or 5/2. Or you can subtract 3/2 minus -1, 5/2. So, to compute for B, gagamitin yung formula na C square equal to A square plus B square. So, B square is equal to C square minus A square. So, C square, 25/4. C square is 9/4. So, meron tayong 16/4, which is 4. So, that is B square. So, yung equation ng hyperbola natin is x minus 3/2 square because h is 3/2. A square, ano A square natin? 9/4 minus y minus 1 square because k is 1 over b square which is 4. So, yan yung equation ng hyperbola natin. And of course, we always check using a graphing calculator. So, off natin yung mga previous graphs para walang nakakalito. So, meron tayong x minus 3/2 square. Ay, ulit. So, sino ba yung x minus 3/2 square? Wala, nangangain na siya. X minus 3/2 square divided by divided by 9/4 minus y minus 1 square. Tina-type ko lang ha. Ang hirap mag-type kasi ang daming fraction. So, yan daw hyperbola natin. Okay? So, yun yung hyperbola. I-graph natin yung mga impormasyon na binigay niya. Foci, -1, 1, at saka 4, 1. And vertices 0, 1 at saka 3, 1. And as you can see, nagko-coincide yung mga points sa mga tina-type natin. So, our answer is correct. And before we end this video, I would like to give some remarks lang about the hyperbola dun sa directrix niya. So, yung lines which are perpendicular to the transverse axis, this is the transverse axis. So, yung tinutukoy niyang vertical line ito. And of distance, a square over c units from the center are called the directrices of the hyperbola. So, ito yung a square over c na sinasabi. Okay. So, yun yung tinatawag na directrices. And last na, here is a summary ng mga equations ng conic sections natin. So, we have this parabola. So, this parabola opens upward or downward. Upward if P is positive, downward if P is negative. Parabola that opens to the right or left. To the right if P is positive, to the left if P is negative. And for this ellipse, sa ellipse ang tatandaan, mas malaki yung A sa B tsaka sa C. So kung saan nakatapat yung mas malaki, malalaman yung orientation. So for this one, nakatapat sa X, you have a horizontal ellipse. Yung A nakatapat sa Y, vertical ellipse. And for the hyperbola, kung nakanino yung positive, dito yung positive na kay x, you have a horizontal hyperbola. Yung positive na kay y, you have a vertical hyperbola. And that ends our lecture on hyperbola and conic section. So, yung kasunod na clip, yung kadugtong ng lecture 1.7, ibang lesson na, hindi na conic. So, yun lang. So, sana na-gets ninyo itong sa hyperbola. Stay safe and God bless. Bye!